There was a lot of reason to be disappointed with the Giants through 10 weeks as they sit at 2-8. But now the leaders of this football team, they are upsetting me. And we're going to break it down on today's show. And I have to ask the question, has Joe Schoen lost control? But more importantly, has his team lost faith in him? My question to you before we dive into this is, what is your confidence level in Joe Schoen as the general manager to deliver Super Bowl number 5 to the New York Football Giants? Scale it 1 to 10. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. The Giants are on their bye week. Joe Schoen has spoken to the media. Brian Daboll says they are evaluating the quarterback position. And Saquon Barkley on Thursday Night Football made all of the Giants fans upset, disgruntled, and made me feel like a fool. And I'm someone that even thought it was a good idea to let Saquon Barkley leave in free agency. I didn't think where the Giants were at in their rebuild, it was smart to pay a running back $13 million. And I stand by that position. I think it was the right move to let him leave once you got to that point. Now, not trading him at the trade deadline or not putting a second franchise tag on him to trade him, that's a different story. But I thought Joe Schoen made the right move. But the move that Joe Schoen has sent a ripple effect through the New York Giants locker room. Bobby Okereke, two-time team captain for Big Blue, liked a photo on Instagram, as you can see, liked by Bobby Okereke, where Bleacher Report posted, "The Giants take another L on Thursday Night Football," referencing Saquon Barkley having a career day on the national stage with everybody watching. They take a shot at the Giants, and a guy that's a captain, a two-time team captain, liked it, and that pissed me off. He said it was an accident, but I'm not buying the excuse that the dog ate your homework, Bobby. I really do believe that Joe Schoen letting Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney leave in free agency broke this team. They were the faces of this organization. They were the DNA of this football team. They were two players that were leaders. They were captains. They were people on this team that younger players looked up towards. And I think it sends a strong message through your organization when you have guys like McKinney and you have guys like Barkley who are in their prime and they leave, and other people look at that and say, if they're not willing to pay him and reward him for being a leader, a captain, and doing everything they can, McKinney playing 100% of snaps, Saquon Barkley putting his body on the line, ending his holdout early. When teammates see that, if you're not going to pay that guy, why are you going to pay me? I'm sure we've all felt like that at our job at some point in our life. We see employee X doing all of that, and the company's not rewarding them. And you look at them and say, is my hard work even being noticed? Is it worth going the extra mile? Is my company going to reward me? And I don't think that Joe Schoen letting both those players go sent a great message to the organization and to this fan base, but more importantly, this locker room. And now we're having players on social media show that they are disgruntled. First, it was most recently, it was Bobby Okereke. Unacceptable for him to do that. And then what about Kayvon Thibodeau? 2 weeks ago when Saquon Barkley did the backwards hurdle, he shares it onto his Instagram, the highlight. Is it a big deal? No. They're friends. I get it. But it pissed me off. And I think anyone that loves this football team, it upsets you a little bit. I don't want to see current Giants sharing plays of their arch rival, the Philadelphia Eagles, onto their own Instagram. I don't care if your mother played for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want to see that. But this isn't the first time Kayvon Thibodeau has done this and it talked about Barkley and being disappointed and showing he's disappointed he's gone. Kayvon Thibodeau back in February of 2024 said Barkley leaving free agency. He said, let me tell you what I'm mad at. Only thing I'll say about that is, what I'm mad at about it is that Saquon, because if you look at that game, the tape, Saquon was responsible for at least 30% of our explosive plays. Talking about the year 2022 when we won the playoff game. So for me, and for the integrity of working together, this man threw out the word integrity, and hard work, and we all believe the same thing, I feel like Saquon Barkley should have been paid first before Daniel Jones. That's what I feel like. And I think the players, the remaining people in this locker room, felt a certain way about the Saquon Barkley saga. Kayvon Thibodeau just told you he was mad about it. Kayvon Thibodeau said that he wishes that Saquon Barkley was paid before Daniel Jones, because the players know who the players are on this team. And the players know that if you're not going to pay this guy, who's much more important and much better of a football player than this guy, why would you pay me? And why should I believe that you can build a team together? Now, Saquon with the Eagles and now McKinney with the Packers will both be first-team All-Pros this year. Saquon leaves the Giants. He leads the NFL in total yards per game. Xavier McKinney leaves the Giants. He leads the National Football League in INTs. They are good players. And while I understand and I agree with the decisions to let Saquon go, McKinney, I don't know all about. I get it. More importantly, though, Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney were captains of this football team. They had C's on their chest. You become a captain because you are voted on by your teammates, meaning your teammates believe they were the face of this organization, that they were the fuel in the engine of this football team. And the fact that they are no longer there and you quite literally treated them like chopped liver, I don't think that that has a good reflection of you onto your roster. But it's not just Barkley and McKinney that were captains that left. You traded Leonard Williams. That was a great trade. Awesome trade. Like, there's two parts of a trade. One, how it's viewed as the NFL as a compensation you got back. Leonard Williams got a second-round pick. That's an awesome trade. But you traded a captain, and Dexter Lawrence didn't sound excited about it at the time. Kayvon Thibodeau didn't sound excited about it at the time. And you lose someone who's a leader, someone that's a grown-up on your football team. You also let Julian Love leave in free agency, a captain of this team. He's already signed 2 contracts since then, and he is the part of the fabric of the Seattle Seahawks now. You lose 4 captains, and you add Brian Burns, and in his first season, he says this team needs to grow up. Yeah, they need to grow up. You don't have any leaders. You don't have any captains remaining outside of Dexter Lawrence. I thought Bobby Okereke was a leader, but a captain and a leader doesn't go out and like an Instagram picture celebrating that your team looks like a fool on a day where they did not even play. They need to grow up, right? Yeah. Hell yeah, they do. Deonte Banks has showed lousy effort not once but twice. You had to bench Deonte Banks. And is there anybody that can hold him accountable besides Dexter Lawrence? You don't have any veterans. Is it Dory Jackson holding him accountable? A guy that you didn't re-sign for 6 months and you brought it back 1 week before the season started? Who are the leaders on this team? They don't look at Daniel Jones as a leader. You got Dexter Lawrence. I'd say Brian Burns, but he's only been here for 8 months. You can't become a leader just like that. And he probably already is viewed as a leader. And I think that speaks volumes to who you got in there. And then you got Dexter Lawrence having to sit at the podium and take the bullets for the repercussions of poor roster management. Dexter Lawrence asked after the most recent loss, do you think Daboll's message is going through in the locker room? Lawrence says, I think it is. Just has to be comprehended a little better. Yeah, I think it's getting through. It's just critical moments. And we've got to understand what those critical moments are to be able to win and come out on top. He was then asked, you're saying to not be comprehended. Isn't that troubling to you? And Lawrence says, yeah, it's annoying for sure. But I'm not in other people's heads or brains. Maybe it's got to be communicated differently, or you got to hear it from somebody else. Did he just say that you need a new coach? That you need new leadership? The message isn't being comprehended? Maybe because the locker room doesn't respect the people sharing the messages anymore. I'm worried about this locker room. I'm worried about this team. And I'm worried that Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are looked at and respected by the people that put on the jerseys for this team. Starting Daniel Jones also, it shows your team you aren't serious about winning. Because there's no way you're serious about winning if you play Daniel Jones. Because one, he is maybe arguably the worst quarterback in National Football history that has been the starting quarterback 5 times to start a season. More importantly, though, he is 3-14 in his last 17 games. Remember Joe Schoen said to predict the future, use the past? Well, the past tells me he's going to lose 14 times out of 17 starts. You think, how can you sell that to your defense that that's the best chance to win game? The season is lost. I get it. You're 2-8. A lot of people want you to play for a higher draft pick. A lot of people want you to lose you to games. But you could still do what's right. Because the people in that locker room on defense, they deserve that. Brian Burns deserves that. Dexter Lawrence deserves that. They deserve to have their team, their organization, and their leadership put a product on the field that puts them in the best chance to be successful. These final 7 games will be big for Joe Schoen. I know John Mara said and gave him a vote of confidence, but we've illustrated before a timeline after a vote of confidence. A lot can change. And look, it's big final 7 games at 2-8 for you and to be in the driver's seat as the general manager of this team. Hopefully Adam Schefter's right when he says that he would guess Daniel Jones would never play another snap for the Giants. Because I think that benching Daniel Jones and playing Drew Lock let your defense know you still care about them. You still think they can win games, and you still believe in them, and you're going to give them an opportunity to win games. You're going to do whatever it takes, even if it means benching Daniel Jones to do so. More importantly, though, if Daniel Jones is benched or not benched, if Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are back, it's going to be a big offseason for Joe. You're going to have a top 10 pick. You're going to have $60 million in free agency. You got to fill the quarterback position. I also want to see some leaders added to this team. I want to see some veterans. And I want to see some proven winners added to this team. Because right now, I don't really get that vibe. Because a 2-time team captain is making fun of his own team on Instagram. Loser behavior from Bobby Okereke. I don't care if your finger slipped. Don't let it slip. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Hit me up over there, and let's go Big Blue.